This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 360.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Well, hello, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. Just the one, once again, it's coming up. Actually, it is this week. It is WordFest. It's over at WordFest.live, January 22nd, 2021. Wow, crazy. It's already third and a half week or so into the month of the new year. So check that out. I will be registered there as well, checking it out. So WordFest.live. All right, segment one in the news. A couple things here. iThemes had a roundup of WordPress vulnerabilities, part one, and there's a link in the show notes, and there's a handful of things there from the report, about 10 or so. Some are high and critical, some are low and very low vulnerabilities, but check those out as well. I'll link to that in the show notes. Always be sure to update your plugins, themes, and core. And also, two things I want to mention here in the news. The year in review from Pippin over at Sandhills Development, one of my favorites. It's really deep, it's really long, it's a long read, but really interesting. He always delivers a bunch of knowledge. This year was no different. Starting with posing the questions for himself and his company. Number one, what do we stand for? Number two, why do what we do? Which I thought it was brilliant. I'm doing a lot of that kind of thinking myself. I mean, I'm nowhere near the scale of Pippin and his team, but it's really inspiring. And then he added, and I quote, "True value that empirically represents who you are cannot be created from thin air," end quote. And that just resonated with me. I thought that was really cool, really profound. So, and he goes on to explain, their income and profits and losses, and it's just inspiring. So check it out. A long read, but well worth it. I'll put a link in the show notes there as well. And lastly, here, another year in review from my good friend Kyle Maurer. He shares his crazy story. You can't make it up. I've known about it, obviously. We're good friends. He shared it on his blog. It's a year in review from Kyle. It's over at kyleblog.net. I'll put a link in the show notes. You just got to read it. I don't want to spoil any of it. So check it out over there. I'll link in the show notes there. All right, moving on. Segment two. So here we are, 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks into 2021. And things, work, life, are getting back to the new normal, right? I.e. post-holidays. And with that said, this week I thought I'd revisit the haves and have-nots in regards to website trends, aka out with the old, in with the new. And, trends come and go. They ebbs and flows, if you will. And just recall the rounded corners, drop shadows. Do you remember those? I do. I mean, heck, Kitchen Sink WP actually had that with a pattern in the background, like the Qbert from the old video game, for those of you who know what Qbert was. Wow. All I have to say on that is, yikes. It's just crazy. I remember when I built that site, that's what it was. It was like a single column, kind of narrow, rounded drop shadow. Anyway, just crazy. Anyway, so here are about 6-7 things I put together, plus 3 from a few colleagues. You'll recognize some names here about what not to have, and then also a couple things to have. So let's start with not haves. Flash. Officially, it is dead. There should not be any reason to have any of this tech on your website. It's broken. It's a huge security risk. Flash has been end of life, full stop. So if you're running Flash, stop it. Okay. Another thing you should not have, and I've seen this not so recent. I haven't not seen this year. I saw it last year. Remember the person, the little video, you can have somebody walking on your screen. It's like a green screen behind them, and they'd walk in and say, "Hi, welcome to the website." Yeah, that shouldn't be a thing anymore. It's 2021, people. That should not be a thing. Okay. Number 3, drop shadow. Again, I mentioned this before. Drop shadows, not really all that cool. Okay. I'm going to give it the caveat here. I've seen some text boxes, some areas that give a little separation, one thing, but a huge drop shadow with a hard shadow on it, the hard drop, no. Very, very subtle if you need to do this. Okay. Number 4, the infinite scroll. What happens if you want to find the footer? What if I'm coming to your website and I'm trying to get there, or I want to find some information in paginated results? The infinite scroll, i.e. or a la the Pinterest of websites, might be time to make a better choice on how that's being used. It's okay in the right place if it's used appropriately. But product feeds, e-commerce, probably not ideal. If you need people to find information about you that's on your footer, you got to end the page. You can't do it if it's infinite scroll. Okay, so sidebars. Are sidebars needed anymore? Some people say yes, some people say no. I'm going to go with let's not have them as just default because that's what the default theme gives you. Make a conscious decision here whether or not you want to have sidebars. Okay. And then lastly, let's not have this. Let's not have a coming soon page that has a timer on it that's run out on the date. At least at a bare minimum, reset the date. Okay, give it a new time, a launch date. If it says coming soon and the timer is at 0, then that's just awkward, in my opinion. Okay, so those are the 6 that I wanted to share with you. I have 3 more from colleagues. One of them is from Kyle Maurer. Sliders. He's been anti-slider since I don't know, the last 5 years at least. So no more sliders in his opinion, his take on it. I'm gonna go with him on that for now. Yeah, if you can avoid them, by all means avoid them. So, okay. Sally suggested getting rid of obnoxious monetization methods, most oftenly seen in pop-ups or pop-overs from advertising in the sidebar to the body of the post. The ad in the body causes the constant resizing and repositioning of content, making it hard to read. So, and I agree. It's a problem with the viewport. It's a problem covering the text on smaller widths. So let's minimize the obnoxiousness of monetizations. Okay, you want to sort of monetize your site and the content. I get that, but let's make sure it's done in a way that is accessible as well. Okay. And my buddy Steven suggested this one. The visitor counter shouldn't be a thing anymore. And music that automatically plays should also not be a thing anymore. I could not agree with him any more than those 2 things. That's pretty funny stuff. All right. A couple things that to have, the things that you might want to consider having are, let's say, a chatbot. A chatbot is still very viable, very helpful. The AI, you ask a question, it can funnel people down to the right answer, helping you kind of keep your support people, your help desk, or your potential buyer on the right path of what they're looking for. So chatbots are fine. I would say keep pages and navigations very clear. About, contact, those things, not variations of these words, not our story necessarily. Just be very clear in your navigation. Okay. Clean design with full width, not overly cluttered. Okay. And then my last 2 here that really kind of get me, make sure your social media links are actually working and go into a page that exists, not just the Facebook homepage, or if you're logged into Facebook, it goes to your homepage on Facebook. It needs to go to your Facebook page if you have the Facebook link, or Twitter, your account on Twitter for your company or yourself for your Twitter link. If it just goes to Twitter, that makes no real reason or purpose to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all. So, and lastly, make sure the ways to reach you are visible and work, i.e. a telephone number, email address, the form. Does the form work? Is it consistent working? Just had a past client reach out to me and said, hey, had someone reach out to the form. They're not my client anymore. They're just, I know them well. And the form stopped working. It's not coming to them anymore. So that's not good either. So test the ways people can reach you and make sure they work. Telephone number, email, forms. Okay? So there you have it. Some haves and have-nots for early 2021. If you have any other suggestions or ideas, by all means, let me know. I want to share those things out here. All right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week is, it's a website over at mynoise.net. It's the Irish coastal experience without the raincoat. I like to have background noise sometimes from time to time. I love water sounds. I like the beach. I like some wind. This is a free little service here. It's Irish Coast. Sea, wind, and rain noise generator. Kind of helps take my mind away from what I might be doing if I don't want to do it that day. Anyway, check it out. It's over at mynoise.net. And I'll put a link in the show notes because there's more to it on that link there. So make it clean for you. All right. I think, that's it for this week. Let me wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@KitchensinkWP.com. Use the SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, become a Patreon. I would love to have you. If you want to sponsor the show, you can do that too. Form on the website, and it does work. I got one just last week. Got a new sponsor coming on. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right? Bye-bye.